Hi everybody, I'm so glad you could join me tonight. Today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing integers. And the first slide that you see here says complete the multiplication table. Describe at least one rule for multiplying integers based on what you have seen in the table. What I would like you to do is to fill out this table and stop the video, and then I'm going to go over the table and what the table is showing you in just a second, okay? All right, here we go. All right, so I have the table filled in, and if you notice, let's see if I can get here we go. If we have 0 times anything is 0, so going down the center of the chart and going across, you see the 0 all the way. And if we go with what we know, 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. And then if we go to the other side, -1 times 3 would have to be -3. It looks like a number line, 9, 6, 3, 0. You start to see a pattern. -3, -6, -9 going across the front row, or I should say the first row. The second row, you see the same kind of thing happening. 6, 4, 2, 0, -2, -4, -6. So we're starting to see a pattern. When you have a negative times a positive, you end up with a negative answer. So that could be one rule. A negative times a positive is giving you a negative answer. If you look over in this quadrant over here, the same thing is happening. -3, or I should say +3 times a -1 gives you a -3, following the number line pattern again. 3, 2, 1, 0. Then it would have to be -1, -2, -3. So a negative times a positive is a negative, and a positive times a negative also gives you a negative. All right? Now, a positive number times another positive number is always going to give you a positive. So you see that also in this lower quadrant over here, we see a negative times a negative is giving a positive answer. Okay, so we have a positive times another positive gives you another positive answer. And we see a negative times a negative gives you a positive. We also see a positive times a negative gives you a negative answer. So if I can just separate this, you see two things going on. When the signs are different, look at what kind of answer you're getting. And when the signs are the same, take a look at what kind of answer you're getting. Okay? Let's see if we can find out why. All right, let's take a look at this slide. This slide is telling you that multiplication is repeated addition, which you already knew. If I take, okay, sorry, still getting used to this pen. If I take 3 times 2, we're adding 2 3 times. So 3 groups of 2. And the blue line is showing us 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. And if I have 3 times -2, that means 3 groups of -2. So again, I'm repeating the addition over and over. -2 plus -2 plus -2 gives me -6. So again, I'm seeing a pattern. A positive times a negative is giving us a negative, which we saw, and a positive times a positive is giving us a positive. So we're consistent, we're seeing the same things. Now, because multiplication is commutative, remember the commutative property says you can switch the order of the numbers and get the same answer. So that means that negative 2 times 3 and 3 times negative 2 must give you the same answer of negative 6. So repeated addition is multiplication. The same thing happens when you add when you add 3 positive 2's, you get a positive, and when you add 3 negative 2's, you end up with a negative. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. It says, if a glacier is retreating at the rate of 7 feet per year, then the product 4 times negative 7 represents the retreat in feet over the glacier of the glacier over 4 years. So complete the number line, model and find the product of 4 times negative 7. So let's take a look at this. Remember, multiplication is repeated addition. So if I have 4 groups of negative 7, then the first group would be here, and then another negative 7 would give us negative 14, and another negative 7 would give us negative 21, and another negative 7 would give us negative 28. So 4 times negative 7 gives you negative 28. A positive times a negative will give you a negative result. So there's the drawing right there. Okay, so now we have negative 8 times 3. Now remember your commutative property. You can switch the order. 3 times negative 8. So if you're thinking of your number line, you have 3 groups of negative 8. What would that look like? Negative 8 plus negative 8 plus negative 8. So here's your number line. Here's 0. So negative 8 and another negative 8 would give us negative 16, and another negative 8 would give us negative 24. So we get a negative. A positive times a negative gives you a negative answer. And there's the drawing. So if we look at this chart, we can see that positive 3 times positive 3 gives you a positive 9. A positive times a positive is a positive result. So that works 3 times 3, 3 times 2, 3 times 1. Now we have 3 times 0, which is 0. And then when we start multiplying with a negative, we end up with a negative answer. So 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and then our answer becomes negative, negative 3, negative 6, negative 9. So a positive times a positive gives you a positive result. A positive times a negative gives you a negative. So take a look. I have the positive 3 here times the negative 3. The commutative property allows me to switch the order. So I can switch this. I can have the negative go first. So the next chart here, hang on just a second. The next chart, I'm just waiting for it to flip, will show you the negative times a positive will also give you a negative. So just switching the order doesn't change the result, it's still negative. Okay, I'm still waiting for the slide to flip. I'm going to end the first video and I'll be back with the second one, okay? Thanks for joining me. I'll be back in a minute. Watch part 2.